우린 말이 아니야. 사람이야.
For 3 seasons, Netflix's Squid Game captivated global audiences not only with its suspenseful storytelling and graphic intensity, but also its searing critique of modern capitalist systems. At its core, Squid Game explores how capitalism manufactures illusions of choice, appearing to offer freedom and opportunity while systematically trapping individuals in cycles of desperation and exploitation. The show's violent competitions mask as fair games, mirroring the brutal conditions of real-life economic survival for the vast majority of the people on this planet, where choice is a facade and true autonomy is nothing but an illusion. And with Squid Game Season 3 having wrapped up the Korean version of the series, I thought right now would be a great time to look back at what the show is really about and dig deeper into the illusion of choice that the contestants faced on the show, but that many of us feel every single day. I'm Omar Q. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let's dive in. The premise of Squid Game is that contestants voluntarily enter the deadly game in exchange for a chance to win a life-changing sum of money. The notion of voluntary, though, is key to maintaining the illusion within the games. While it is technically true that players are there with consent to participate, the context in which that choice is made renders it meaningless. Many of these players come from backgrounds where they are facing crippling financial distress. The contestants are drowning in debt, abandoned by the systems that should be supporting them, whether they be healthcare, employment, or legal recourses. And because of that, there is an overwhelming feeling for many of them that there is no other way. Following each game, the players vote whether to continue on to the next game or split the money and leave the island. And while one can look at this as a form of democracy within the games, the fact of the matter is, it is only within the games. And the games themselves are a metaphor for a system of capitalism that seeks to provide the illusion of opportunity, the illusion of democracy, the illusion of choice every single day. However, even those choices have restrictions. So while you can say that, yes, they have the ability to vote to leave, given the fact that many of these players are put there in situations where money is their only recourse and money is the priority, that is the issue. The fact that people value the money more than they value their lives shows you how much of our daily existence is around money. We live not for the people around us. We live not for the experiences of life. We live instead to maintain our survival. And the best way to do that is to make sure that we have as much money as possible. And that is what drives the greed throughout the games. And mind you, the people who are playing these games, while they're making this choice, they have all of the money that is up for grabs potentially floating literally above their heads, which further incentivizes a group of them to stay. The game also is a great representative of the labor market. Each game in the series presents itself as neutral. Everyone is given the same task under the same rules, but just as in the real world, structural inequalities and social dynamics immediately shape outcomes. The game replicates the unequal playing field of capitalism, where those born with privilege or connections thrive, while others are pitted against one another in a zero-sum competition for survival. There are many great examples of this from Squid Game, from the old man playing in Season 1, to even Thanos' ability to get hyped for each challenge by taking drugs that he smuggled into the games. Another great example of this was the doctor from Season 1, who was working with guards within the games in order to get access to clues for the next challenge before they happen, in exchange for harvesting the organs of the deceased competitors. Yes, if you have not seen Squid Game, it is a wild fucking show, and I highly recommend you go watch it. And finally, Squid Game represents capitalism as spectacle. The game's wealthy VIP spectators represent the ultimate beneficiaries of capitalism, those whose wealth insulates them from the consequences and whose boredom is satisfied by watching the suffering of others. And Season 3 put an emphasis on the VIP's role to actually manipulate the games. Throughout Season 3, the VIPs had a bigger presence than they had in either of the first two seasons. We knew they existed, we knew that they were the people behind the games and funding it. However, we never knew how much influence they truly had over it. And from choices such as adding the baby as a competitor in the game in Season 3, and even doing cleanup following the hide-and-seek game, killing failed competitors for sport, we saw that this, at the end of the day, the entire game, the structures and systems that all of these players were voting in had one goal. It wasn't democracy. It wasn't giving players a true choice. It was amusing the funders, amusing the VIPs. To them, the players are just pawns in their games, or as Sung Gyun pointed out in his final sentence on Earth before falling to his death, horses on a racetrack. But also, like Sung Gyun pointed out, humans are not horses. It's not just that the system is rigged, it's that those at the very top revel in that cruelty, so long as their dominance is preserved. Squid Game is a brutal allegory for life under unfettered capitalism, where the promise of meritocracy and freedom of choice is carefully maintained as an illusion. While contestants technically choose to participate, their decisions are shaped entirely by a world that has failed them. The show forces viewers to confront the disturbing reality. In a system where survival depends on outlasting others in increasingly dehumanizing conditions, choice becomes a tool of control, not liberation. In dramatizing this reality, Squid Game really peels back the layers of this exploitative capitalist ideology in order to expose a game that never was fair to begin with. And it is a game that you and I are both playing at this very moment.